Breaking the Silence is a podcast that dives into the intricate and often challenging topics of grief and loss within relationships. Through insightful discussions, the podcast aims to explore how pain can be transformed into purpose, leading to healing and growth. By addressing themes such as inner child work and the journey towards feeling alive once more, this podcast offers a beacon of hope for those navigating difficult emotions. Ultimately, Breaking the Silence aims to guide listeners towards moving forward and embracing all the blessings that life has in store as they embark on a journey of self-discovery and spiritual fulfillment. I'm your guide through this journey, Renee Wallace, and I invite you to join me as we break the silence surrounding grief and loss, transforming pain into purpose and finding hope in the healing power of storytelling. Good morning, sweet friends. Welcome. I'm so happy you are here with me today. This is Renee Wallace with Breaking the Silence. Come cozy up and just have conversation with me. I have a nice full hot cup of coffee. Just finished up at the gym and came home and fixed coffee and thought I would sit and chat with you. So I wanted to talk with you about decisions. And this actually came up last night. I was asked to be a guest speaker on a team call, and we talked about decisions. And it came up for me here recently um, so many times. Well, I didn't even realize it. Like, first of all, let me tell you, decision, the word decision. And so the Latin word side, which is part of decide, the Latin word side means to kill off. And so when we decide something, you decide to kill off every other option. It's dead. Like you have made the decision, that is the end of it. And it's like you've drawn your line in the sand. And so I got to thinking, I had went back and looked at the reel that I had made when for Brian's 5-year anniversary. And I noticed in there that I said something to the effect of, I had a decision to make. And I went on to say, I had to decide if I was going to live out what I believed in the darkest days of my life. And so that really struck me because I knew yes, you have to make a decision. There comes a point we can waver back and forth. In 1 minute be sort of in and the next out, and then I'm in and out and back and forth, right? But there comes a point that we have to make a decision. And so, anyways, I seen that I had put that on the reel and it just sort of struck me because it made me stop and think now how many times after I've done so much healing work, I finally have just made the decision. So, for example, after going through the 180 method, and before that, I was so unsure, so oh, I want to do this. I don't know. Like the fear, right? The fear of stepping into the unknown, stepping into something so big, like leveling up. Um, and so I remember that after I finished the 180 method, I knew at that moment, like God was calling me to step into something more. And I made the decision and cut off all other possibilities. I just decided I am going to become a life coach. So that was one moment. And then the next moment was with this podcast. I just made the decision in February once I seen, I've already said this, I had the thoughts in my mind for a while and was just sort of sitting there with it though. Those recordings, I wasn't doing anything. And seen that my friend was helping to put podcasts together, reached out to her and I was like, I already shared with this about Brian's going to heaven in February 21st. It made the decision right there. Okay, I'm doing this. And it was in those like we pulled it together in 2 weeks. I haven't even used the recordings that I originally recorded. They're still sitting there. And maybe there'll be bonus tracks or something, bonus episodes sometime, or I don't know, but they're sitting there. But my point is then that, I re-recorded new ones and just made this decision and did it. And then, I noticed again, today in another reel that it said something that I had made. And so how many times, like I had said about deciding, like you have to decide. And so it was just like not a whack in the face. I don't want to say that, but just a reminder that it is absolutely so true. So whatever it is that you are struggling with, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a business venture. I don't know if it's starting a podcast. I don't know if it's um, a relationship. I don't know if it's cutting off something that is not healthy for you. But what I do know is that it happens in the moment that we just decide. And you absolutely have to just say, there's no more like putting giving a choice. Like, well, I'm trying to work out more. Um, I'm trying to get to the gym more often. I'm trying to eat healthier. That leaves freedom for choice, right? Freedom for like, yeah, well, maybe today it feels good. No, tomorrow not so much. Um, when we decide, we just cut off every other possibility. And so I just wanted to share that with you and know that when you do make that decision, it doesn't magically mean that there isn't any resistance there or that there isn't any fear. Um, it means we made the decision and we can even say, I see you. Like I see when the fear comes up. I see you. I acknowledge it. I know this might be scary, but you're okay. I have this. Like it's again, I told you about this. It's your little inner child that you can just look at them and say, I know you're trying to protect me, but I'm the adult here and we've got this. I've got this. You get to be the little kid. Maybe for the first time ever. Maybe you had to grow up so fast and that inner child was always responsible, right? That you didn't get that opportunity to maybe to be the little kid that you wanted to be or that you should have had the opportunity to. Now you get to tell your inner child, you can go play. I've got this from here. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. You don't have to do that anymore. And that sort of takes me into and it's making me a little emotional. Let me get a drink of coffee because it even takes me into my sweet kiddos that when we were fostering, I remember they very much were playing the role of the parents at a very, very young age. Um, I remember one of them holding their sibling against the couch to check the diaper, and me saying, you don't have to do that anymore. Like, you can go play. I will take care of him. I will make sure his diaper is changed and clean, and you get to just play. So what if this is sort of going off on something totally different? But you know what? Sometimes the spirit just leads you. God just leads you and you just talk. What if we said that to our inner child with so much compassion and so much empathy, not the shame and the guilt, because those don't help. Those actually make us feel worse and do not free us from anything. What if we just look with so much empathy and compassion and say, thank you. Thank you for all the times that you did protect me, but you don't have to anymore. You can just go play. So, anyways, I'll leave you with that thought. That sort of went from making decisions to inner child, and who knows what you're going to get with me, right? Um, but that's the beauty of it. Like, God will just bring things to our hearts, and if we're just open to just share it, and isn't that what friendship is? Like, when you sit at the table, like if I had a friend, if you were sitting here right now, sitting on my couch or at my table or even my kitchen counter, I love to hang out in my kitchen. Um, just wouldn't that be how it would be anyways? Like, our conversations would just be like, we're talking about this, and then we're talking about this, and then we go down this rabbit hole. And that's exactly how I want it to be. Like, I want this so natural and just us connecting. And I will say, and this is another sort of random thought, but I remember mentioning this to someone. I want to do very little editing in my podcast. Yes, I will edit some as needed, but like if I say something wrong or I mess up my words, that's real life. That is exactly how it would be if we were sitting here together right now. And I don't want to take the time to edit it and make it perfect because we aren't perfect. Life isn't perfect. And I just want you to see the true, authentic, vulnerable, messy, imperfect Renee. And just, I want to show up for you as real as possible. Um, because that, for one, is where trust and connection and rapport is built, right? Like, we don't trust people that we think are not real or authentic. So, anyways, I send you off with so much love. I am so glad you are here with me. If you find any value in this, make sure that you follow and leave a review, share it, get the word out. Um, so that hopefully my words can inspire you and others to know that you have a voice and a story that needs to be shared as well. Until next time, I will talk to you later. Bye. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking the Silence. As we conclude our time together, let us carry forward the stories we've heard, the emotions we've shared, and the connections we've forged. Remember, the journey through grief and loss is not one we walk alone. In the silence, we find solidarity. In our shared experiences, we find strength. And in our vulnerability, we find resilience. If you or someone you know is navigating the complexities of grief, know that there is support available. Reach out, lean on your community, and remember that healing is not linear. It's a journey, and you are not alone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being a part of this community. Until next time, may you find peace in the spaces between the silence. Please be sure to subscribe below and leave us a review. If you'd like to connect further, you can find me on Instagram at Coaching with Renee. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking the Silence. As we conclude our time together, let us carry forward the stories we've heard, the emotions we've shared, and the connections we've forged. Remember, The journey through grief and loss is not one we walk alone. In the silence, we find solidarity. In our shared experiences, we find strength. And in our vulnerability, we find resilience. If you or someone you know is navigating the complexities of grief, know that there is support available. Reach out, lean on your community, and remember that healing is not linear. It's a journey, and you are not alone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for being a part of this community. Until next time, may you find peace in the spaces between the silence. Please be sure to subscribe below and leave us a review. If you'd like to connect further, you can find me on Instagram at Coaching with Renee.